Ugh, are we there yet?
Welcome to I Am Not Your Tour Guide, but I am your host, your hostess with the mostest this evening. My name is Starla Skelton, and I am on a current expedition to interview travelers with the real stories. I want to hear their stories. And some of y'all may have migrated and wandered yourself across the globe, and some of you may be trying to still figure out what is this travel thing. But this is a space to get excited about travel. So let's talk travel. Today, I am super excited to introduce you to an amazing friend, an amazing person in general. He's just superb in so many ways. Scott, aka Scooter Dunkle. Thank you for coming today.
Thanks for having me. I feel all special now.
You are special now. I mean, I get to get on your nerves on a virtual platform setting. So I'm really excited. So excited. So just to give the listeners any sort of background, you and I have known each other for how many years?
It's like 16 years now, I guess. 17 even, almost.
Right. So we have a really good rapport. And I just feel like a lot of times that we were sitting at the bar after work and we just started opening up and talking. I mean, a lot of times we just kind of were drawn to each other's travel stories and just to listen to each other about things that we've been through and things that we've seen on the road. And that was always just a good memory for me to have of you. So I'm ready to do a little bit more talking with you tonight. Are you excited?
Yeah, girl, let's do it.
Okay, so here we go. Let's just right out the gate. Let me go. I love that people get drawn to different countries, right? You never know exactly why somebody decided to go to Bangkok over Paris. Like we all have our wants and desires. And sometimes a lot of us go a lot of places, but what makes us choose certain spots is very interesting to me. So my question is, out of the 12 countries in South America, or 17 if you're including Latin America, what made you choose Santiago, Chile when you embarked on that adventure?
Well, it was in a way almost kind of chosen for me. So, I was brought up in a kind of a religious household, and my stepmother, before she met my father, was a missionary, and she had lived in Chile for a couple of years, came back to the States to live, met my dad, they got married. But when she was in Chile, she was with this group called YWAM, Youth with a Mission. So she, of course, got to meet people there, made friends, and one of her friends came to visit and actually stayed with us in our house. And her name was Ellie Lowell, Hermana Ellie. She was great. She was awesome. Loved her. And during her stay, I had, just recently turned 18 years old, and I, at that point, kind of thought that it would be a great opportunity because I had thought about, becoming a missionary myself. So it was just kind of decided before Ellie left and went back to Calbuco that I was going to go stay with her. That's pretty much the long and short of how Calbuco was like my destination, and Chile was where I was going to go.
So where exactly is, and you pronounced it Cambuca?
Calbuco, Calbuco.
Okay, so where exactly is that in comparison to Santiago?
Santiago would be like northeast.
Okay.
Calbuco is like an island off the coast of Chile.
Okay.
It's like a hop, skip, and a jump away from the Antarctic, honestly. So it's like a cluster of islands.
So as far as transportation goes, did you fly into Santiago first and then catch a smaller flight, or did you take a boat? Like, what was your mode of transportation to get there?
All of the above. It took me traveling. We drove from Jacksonville, or Amelia Island. We drove from Amelia Island to Miami. I took a flight from Miami to Santiago. That was the worst flight ever because it was the first time I had ever been on a plane, and I was
Wow.
going by myself, and the flight was horrible. I think that's the root of my dislike for air travel. But it was not a great flight. But anyway, to move on. So I took it was like a 9 hour flight from Miami to Santiago. And then we took a bus ride. It was like another 4 hour bus ride from Santiago to the coastline. Then we had to take a ferry to get onto Calbuco, and then we had to take another bus to get to her place. So in total, it was more than a day's travel. It was a lot for an 18-year-old who had never been out of the state.
Was there a culture shock that came with it in any ways? I mean,
Oh,
especially as an
absolutely.
18-year-old boy. What was going on in your mind?
I mean, I was definitely of two minds about it. But I was terrified in a way because it was just such a new experience, and for me who had never ever done anything like this, I just did not know what to expect. But on the flip side of that, I was super excited because it was a new experience. And this is, or that was at the time, what I thought what was being called to do with my life, essentially. So I was excited, to take that first step and see what it was going to be like, not being in the United States and being around people in a different culture, essentially, that weren't, it just wasn't in my comfort zone. And I was looking forward to it, but yeah, I was pretty terrified, to be quite honest. The culture shock, I remember this so specifically. So most of the homes on the island, they have wood burning stoves in the kitchens, and that's if some people are even lucky enough to have the wood burning stoves. So the house that Ellie had in Cabuco, it was like a church. It was a Christian bookstore. Had music. It had like all kind of like a little gift shop kind of thing, and it was also like almost like a halfway house.
Okay.
Not a halfway house. I'm so sorry. It was like a stopping point really for missionaries that were working in the surrounding areas, and they would come and stay there and stuff. Sorry, I'm getting a little bit off track, but it was a lot of people were very comfortable in that home. So the first time that I walk in, the side door leads directly into the kitchen. One of the things that, especially, I think, well, I definitely know, we as Americans, as North Americans, people in the United States, we have our personal bubble that we don't really want people to get right up on in.
Right.
And the first moment that I walked into her home, this very large man just came right up to me, and I got, it was my first instance realizing Chileans are close talkers. I almost backed over the wood burning stove because I was just I was like, what is he doing? Why is he getting so close to me? Like, you do not need to be that close to speak to me. So I damn near like backed over a fire going in it wood burning stove in the kitchen. So yeah, that was my first.
That makes me laugh so hard because even as an American, you would be referred to as the non-touchy,
Oh, absolutely.
right? And so just the fact that he just come and barrel hugged you, I can picture it in my head. I love that.
Well, it wasn't even that he hugged me. It was simply that this very large, tall man bent over so close to my face just to speak. I was like, I don't, is this the way that everybody is? And pretty much, I would say 95% of all Chilean or all Chilote Chileans that I encountered, where everybody was just very, very close talkers, super close talkers. And I got used to it, after like 3 months of it. But that was an eye-opening experience just by itself.
Oh my goodness. So you experienced the close talkers right away. I seriously, I'm still laughing in my head thinking about you and somebody talking so close to you. It makes me smile a little bit too much on the inside. But, I'm wondering as well. So that was a little bit of an off-putting moment, or at least something you had to get used to. What's something that you noticed, like maybe in the first couple days, that about their culture that you admired, that was like, oh, this is different and this is pretty awesome.
Honestly, everyone there, with one major exception that I encountered in all the months that I was there, everyone was just very, very polite. And it wasn't like an affectation like you see a lot of here in the States, or even in other countries as well. But it wasn't an affectation. People were just genuinely polite, and it was nice. It made me feel much more at ease, especially the first couple of weeks that I was there. And I was, I mean, you know what I look like. I'm super, super pale and red haired. There were no people that looked like me. So I think in some ways I might have been a little bit of an oddity, but everybody there was just genuinely polite and nice and accommodating. They weren't shy in a way that a lot of us can be, or I know that I can be for sure.
Mhm.
If I'm in an uncomfortable situation with somebody that I don't know, or some of us can just be a little bit awkward. Nobody was really awkward. Everyone was just very, very genuine and nice, and it was nice to be around just a large number of people who were just polite. And we don't really get a whole lot of that.
Mhm. Yeah. In that area, they and I just want to make sure because I've only been to northern Chile. Do they speak Spanish, right? In that area?
Spanish, yes. It's
Are there other
it's
dialects as
it's
well?
called chilote.
Chilote. Okay. Okay, so do you think that for you to travel there and to be in their culture and in their home for how many months did you say?
Three. It was 3 months and a week, I think.
Okay, so for that, I mean, that's a good amount of time to really get to know your surroundings and your environment. So, did you try to attempt to speak their language as well?
Oh, of course.
Okay.
When I got down there, and like the very next day, wake up early in the morning, and we're all having breakfast, and Ellie, who again, Ellie she was just a phenomenal person. She's since passed, but I very much respected this woman, especially towards the end of the trip. But she was pretty much the only person that spoke English. There was one other gentleman, actually the large gentleman that almost knocked me over a wood burning stove. He spoke very good English, and the teenager that I was sharing a room with, his name was Elvis. He was going to the local polytechnical school. Yeah, his name was Elvis. He
That's cool.
was of course taking English classes, so he spoke a little bit of English. But Ellie told me that, like, that very first day that we were there, a full day, she was like, "I'm going to slowly wean you off of hearing English. So just go ahead and know that I have books you can keep studying. I know you know some Spanish already, like enough to get around and to have very simple conversations with people. But I'm going to stop speaking English to you. You're going to have to learn because you're going to be here. And this was not a vacation for me. Like this was an experience that I was having." So she straight up was like, you're gonna have to learn. So what you got now is good basics, like a good base for you, a good starting point. But you're gonna have to study and you're gonna have to learn. And I think we've all experienced this, that like the Spanish that they were speaking there was very different from the Spanish that I was taught, in high school. So like the word sentence structure, a lot of things were just, it was kind of difficult to grasp.
Oh, so it was you feel it was more difficult than whenever you were learning Spanish in high school?
In a way, because even like the books that one thing that I did every day for at least half an hour a day, I had to sit and study, Spanish. And even the books that she gave me were very similar to, like our textbooks in high school. But then I think more than even, I think the thing that was the most different was just the accent of how they would pronounce words. There were certain words, and there was a girl that came in. She was there for a couple of days during the week. We called her Uruguasha because like the double L is a sh sound instead of a y sound in Uruguay. So even little things like that, you throw her into the mix too, and she would be saying things. I'm like, I don't understand. Like, más lento, por favor. Slow that down for me, please.
Oh man, I love that. So, do you think that people that travel to different countries, let's just even say France or Thailand, and they don't attempt to speak their language at all. Do you think there's a rudeness or like an American arrogance to that? Or do you think it just depends on the situation and the person?
I would say by and large, I think it's very arrogant and rude not uh, to travel to a foreign country and not even attempt to learn any of the language at all. Anyone going to a foreign country, and this is, of course, my opinion on this, but anyone traveling to a foreign country should absolutely at least have the basics of, greeting, salutations, way saying please or thank you. Where is the bathroom? Like just these are kind of important things. If you're on, and again, this is fine too, but if you're on like a tour, with a bunch of other people, and there's a tour guide, and they picked out your restaurants and your hotels and all that kind of stuff. Every place that they take you, the people that are, like in the restaurants, they speak English, so you don't have to go out of your way for that. I know, some older people, if they go to foreign countries for the first time or whatever, that it's just, that's fine. That's fine. But if you're just gonna try and make your way around and kind of have a good time or whatever, yes, don't be that guy. Don't be that girl. Don't be that they, who, whatever. Just put a little bit of effort into learning a little bit about the language. I mean, it definitely won't hurt you, and it will probably ingratiate you in many ways to people if they think that just put in a little bit of effort to not just traipse through their country.
Exactly. Show them that you're just trying, right? You
Yeah,
don't have to be perfect
absolutely.
at it.
No, 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 no. And I've never been to France. I don't speak any French. I've heard the back. I'm sure a lot of people have heard this, but the back and forth that if you can't speak perfect French, then just don't even try if you're in France, because they'll just rip you apart. I don't know that that is true. I'm just saying this is whatever. But that kind of thing, I'm sure could potentially scare some people off from trying to maybe learn language or whatever. But I think anyone in their right mind should know that. I mean, it should not take that much just to figure out, okay, I could spend just a small amount of time learning just the basics. Like literally, if you can't say thank you in a country in their own language, like that's on you, boo. Like that's a problem to me.
Right, right. No, I'm with you on that for sure. And as far as being in Chile for 3 months, do you feel that that experience and that time in a different culture, eating different foods, studying a different language, speaking with close talkers, just, I mean, everything that that culture had to offer you, good and bad, do you think that it gave you a different perspective on life in some way or another?
um, yes. So I will definitely say I'm gonna hope this is the most dramatic moment that I have with you tonight when I say this. Um, but for sure, there was a point. I think I'd been there about probably like 2.5 months. I was coming towards the end of my trip, and Ellie and I had gotten on a bus, and we were going to. I think we were going to Portimont, and we're in this stretch of just open. There's just this one road, and there are no other vehicles that really I couldn't even see that much outside the bus, but there's just this huge area of fields, and it's so big, and it's so empty. Like there are no buildings, there's no automobiles, there's nothing. It's just fields. And for whatever reason, it just hit me in that moment on that bus, just not only how far away from home I was, but just how big the world is. And even then, I knew that feeling that I had of almost feeling like infinitesimal, which is, I think, kind of something that I try to go back to whenever I think about it. The world, everybody said, every time I hear somebody say it's a small world, it is not a small world. It is not. It is a huge world, and
So
there are
that ride at
so
Disney
many.
World is bullshit. That's what you're telling me
Yeah,
right now.
absolutely, yes. It annoys me. I'm so annoyed by it. And it's kind of because of that experience. Like I had a moment on that bus where I just sort of realized just how small I was because I was in the middle of a space that was so large. And the only other time that I've experienced that was whenever I went with my husband Mark to Montana. You know, it's big sky country. That it's called
Big
that for a reason.
Sky, Montana.
That's right. And that's the only other place that I've even come close to having that same feeling. Just being in a space that is so big and so open, and it just kind of allowed me to have a moment to realize, like I am I am small. I am so small. Doesn't mean that we can't do big things as human beings, but that trip, that moment was the first time that I realized just how small I was.
I love that you said that because in my crazy weird brain, sometimes I'm like there's such a contradiction whenever I'm traveling because I'll have those moments like you just described perfectly. And you're in this moment where there's just so much vastness, there's so much space, and you have a personal moment where you're like, I'm so small, I'm so insignificant. Like I don't what good I mean, really, what does it matter if I'm here or not? Like I've had those moments traveling, which it's a reflective moment because then it also helps you travel also helps you come to that realization that family matters and that love matters and maybe even not with a partner but love for me, love for my daughter, love for my boyfriend, love for my family. So it's so funny how I get these contradictory feelings a lot of times when I'm traveling. And it's like sometimes I'm like, oh my God, I mean nothing. I am worth nothing. I'm so small in this vast world. And then sometimes I'm like, oh my God, I just realized like how much love means to me because look at all this beauty. Look at everything. I have so much to offer. So
Yes,
it's fun.
absolutely.
Did you ever feel like that in your travels?
Absolutely, yes. There was, I mean, again, the whole point for me going, and later on, I realized it was my last ditch effort at heterosexuality and religion, and it did not work. But part of the whole thing behind going on this trip was to not only have the experience that I wanted to get, but it was to do something good. It was to help in a way, and that's what at that point, that's what I thought was going to be my entire life. And things have changed, but not necessarily in a bad way. Going there and seeing what I did, having that moment on that bus, and just to reiterate, like I didn't. It wasn't when I had that feeling of being so infinitesimal. It was more of an awe-inspired moment. It wasn't like I don't, like I'm just too small to affect anything in the world. It was just oh wow, I just realized. And it was really a great moment. But I definitely think I guess for anyone that has never, I think experiences are such a great thing. Like I grew up in Florida. I had never seen a mountain. So the first time that I saw a mountain,
I'm sorry.
I know exactly. Thank you. Thank you. The very first time that I actually saw a mountain it was great. That's an experience. The very first time I ever went hiking. Hey girl, how you doing?
How
Um,
you doing?
uh-huh. Very first time I ever go hiking. The first time that I had cousins that lived in Tennessee, had never seen the ocean. I was there the very first time they ever got to see the ocean. And I was floored at their response to seeing the ocean for the first time. Those are memories that you carry. It's nice to have them, but it's also nice to see other people having those as well.
Oh, 100%. Oh, yeah. No, I absolutely love that. And I love your perspective on the travels that you've had. And this is a kind of off the beat question, but do you believe that there is such thing as a bad trip?
I think barring mutilation, dismemberment, being sold into, slavery, or, God forbid, some sort of, fatality happening,
Right. Right.
like
There's
life
extremes.
changing, horrible life changing extremes. There you go. Thank you very much. Aside from that, no, because I know I've definitely become very much of a homebody, and just, I'm comfortable in my space right now. But given the opportunity and the chance to actually, go on a trip again would be amazing. Trips are experiences. They are stories. They are things that you not only can tell other people about, but you can replay moments from trips that you go, especially, going out of the country and seeing different places. Those are things that you carry with you. So I don't see how anything could be bad about that. Even if, things go wrong, or I know definitely different people travel different ways. The way that you, Starla, like to travel is not the way I want to travel. I'm a little too bougie.
I don't know what you're talking about, Scott Dunkle.
I think you definitely know what I'm talking about. You would be much more comfortable in a hostel than I would. If anything, you might even prefer it at certain times. I can tell you right now, I would never prefer to be in a hospital in a hostel.
Give me a hostel,
Anything
man.
wrong with those things? No, because that's an experience. Like there's even if you stayed within a hostel and you're in a room with how many other people, and one of them's like really really flatulent, like you got some serious stank bombs going on. These are things that happen. Does that ruin your whole trip? No, of course not. It's a story to tell. it's it's something that you experienced that you would not have gotten in your own bedroom.
Oh my God, you know I love a good story. I mean, I think that's maybe why I choose to stay to live that hostel life because I'm like, man, even if I stay in a dirty, ratchet motel, even then I'm gonna have running water. I'm gonna have a lock on my door. I'm gonna have sheets on my bed. So I think I'm like, man, where can I go that I'm just gonna get a good story? Like I almost feel like a travel journalist, but like nobody to tell. You know, like nobody gives a crap where I'm staying. Nobody gives a crap what I've done. But I'm like, man, let me get the good story. And that's just, unfortunately, you know how my brain works, Scott. That's how I work. But I did want to pivot off what you said a second ago. And I was thinking earlier today, and it just kind of hit me in like a deep thoughts style. And for people that can't afford to travel, and that's a real thing. That's a real thing. People who can't afford it,
Oh,
people
absolutely.
who have health issues that physically can't travel, people that have no desire. I have family, and some of my boyfriend's family. I through our extended family, I know people who just they're happy. They're happy in their own space, their own spot, where they grew up. They're comfortable, and I don't
Yeah.
think there's anything wrong with that. I truly
No,
don't.
not at
And I'm
all.
not, and I'm not trying to sound like a snob. I really don't think anything's wrong with that. But my question to you is, do you think that when somebody is not exposed to other things in life, do you think that that limits their ability for self examination?
Absolutely, yes. Myopia is a real thing. Um, Only being exposed to one way of thinking, one way of dressing, one area of existence, and literally that can mean you don't even, and there's nothing wrong with this, but you don't even move out of your hometown, like the place that you grew up. You don't visit anywhere, you don't go anywhere. You don't experience people from other cultures, or even hear other languages being spoken in your presence. Like I think getting out of your comfort zone is super important. And I think the younger that people do that, the better off they're going to be. Having the trip that I had at 18, if I had waited until I was 30 to take it, I think I would be a completely different person.
Hmm.
As far as certain things. And it doesn't just have to be, about necessarily about travel. It is about literally experiencing other people and how they live and how they see the world and what their living situation is. Probably one of the most heartbreaking things that I ever experienced was also in Chile, which was going to this family's home. They had literally nothing. They lived right on the coast. Literally, their house was on stilts over the water. They had holes in their floor. You could see the water from their floor. Like, they had nothing. And I don't think I've ever felt so guilty for ever complaining about any small inconvenience that I ever had when I saw the state of how these people were living. And they were happy. I mean, they were as happy as they could be, but they were grateful and they had smiles on their faces, and they gave to us probably what they could ill afford to give out as far as like food went. Like they fed us when we were there. I felt like I should have brought something with me, but I also didn't know where we were going at the time. But in any case, not to run on with that, but like those not leaving my home and not seeing some of these things, I think everyone would benefit from just getting out of your comfort zone and not staying in the same spot with the same people that you see every single day, that you work with or that you hang out with, or any, like, get out of your comfort zone.
Yeah. And you said earlier that you wouldn't be the same person, if you would have waited till you were 30 to take that trip. I'm not going to reveal your age, but let's just say you're not 30.
No, it's quite all right. I am a proud 44-year-old dude at this point.
Woo, oh my goodness. You getting old, boo. But
I know.
but when you said something about the age comparison earlier, it made me think, do you feel that your trip would have been different? Your experience as an 18-year-old, do you think it would have been different if you had social media, if you would have had easy access to whatever the internet was at that time? Do you think it would have changed how you viewed things there, or do you think you would have still had the same experience?
I absolutely would not have had the same experience. And I'm sure we'll probably get to a little bit later, but one of my things that I was so happy that I brought with me there was envelopes and stationery, because there was no such thing. I mean, this was literally like, this was 1997, 98 maybe. So this was before cell phones. There were no cell phones. We were still literally using calling cards.
So let's give a shout out to the OG stationery and envelopes and stamps.
Yes. Yes, absolutely. I think if I had had access to a cell phone and social media at that time, I I think I would have been far too engrossed in taking pictures, and posting them to, any social media site that I possibly could get my hands on, and looking at other people's posts. And I probably would not have had that moment that I had on the bus, because I probably would have been scrolling online, or playing a game, or doing something. I would not have been looking around at what was around me. I would have been preoccupied, too preoccupied.
So if I can ask you for some advice, if you could give some of maybe our younger listeners some advice on, because here's the thing, here's my thought process. It's not their fault that they weren't born when we were traveling without cell phones. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's not their fault they were born when they were born. I'm not hating on them because
No, 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 no.
they're blogging and taking a million pictures. I'm really not hating on them at all because that's the world that they've grown up in. But I still
Sure,
think it's
sure.
important. I still think it's important as older people just to encourage them and remind them to get that balance where it's not all social media. And again, I'm not anti-social media. Some of this is going to be on YouTube. This is going to be on a podcast. You know, I'm a fan of the interweb, but at the same time, some people, yeah, love you interweb. But at the same
Yeah.
time, people have to they need to be reminded that if your face is to your phone the entire time and you're taking a picture of everything and not really experiencing it, like how are you going to draw these deeper thoughts and these deeper perceptions and perspectives and even a little bit of guilt, having a little bit of guilt every once in a while, like you said earlier, like that's not bad. That's not bad for building character, right? Like that's something that's helpful in life. So
For sure.
do you have any advice for any of the up and comers as far as what to do when you're growing up in this cell phone world and traveling at the same time?
Honestly, you already said it. It's to find a balance, which I think a lot of us lack. And I freely, you can't see it, but I'm holding up my hand like I'm right here. I freely admit that I probably spend too much time on my cell phone, like a lot of us do. And in some ways, our cell phones have become our literal tie to society because everything is online now. So I guess probably the best thing I could tell anyone that has literally never lived a day in their life without having the internet. Like I remember what life was like before there was an internet. I grew up before the internet was a thing. It's just to remember that these things are not. Say again.
I was just going to say really quickly, because you said you grew up when life, was not the internet. Do you remember printing off your tickets for Santiago and you had to print them off on a printer and then you had to take the little side pieces with the circles that were on the side? Like you had to I don't even know what it's called anymore, but you had to take the side pieces off to make it look like a legit piece of paper. And you brought that to the airport with you. And if your ink was running low, it was really weak. And you're like, no, I swear this is a legit ticket. And people were just like, all right, nobody even really looked at your ticket.
No, as long as you got your ID and shit, just get on the plane. Just get on the plane. It's fine. And if that's the wrong plane, then that's your fault, not mine. That's probably how that went down.
Well, I love that advice. I love, balance. And I think that's something that we can encourage, not judge. I think we got to be careful not to judge because again, that's society. That's how they've grown up. But we just have to encourage them to have that balance for sure. Overall, grand scheme of life, grand scheme of travel, when it comes down to thinking about past travels and even future travels, are you excited? Are you excited to travel more? Are you at this place in your life? And I know you said earlier at a certain age where you're a homebody, but do you still feel like you can learn something from getting out there and trying new things as you and when I say travel, let me just preface this. I don't mean you have to get on a plane, go to India, have an eat, pray, love moment and, decide that your spiritual self wants to wear elephant pants and, so on and so on. I'm just saying when I say travel, it could be a weekend travel. It could be traveling to middle of Florida just to be in a different environment, just to get out of your comfort zone. So again, I just don't want anybody to be confused. I'm a snob in some ways, but I'm not this super snob traveler where I'm like, oh, you haven't been to Bali? You haven't lived. That's not my mentality. And so I just want to preface that when I'm saying this, but do you believe that you still have more to explore in your life?
Absolutely, yes. I mean, there are definitely destinations that I would like. I want to go. Places. I probably my my number one would be New Zealand. It is just if all the movies that I have watched that have been filmed there and all the pictures that I have seen are even a tenth of as beautiful as it has been presented to me, I am pretty sure that I'm just going to weep for a solid few days if I ever get the chance to go to New Zealand. It's beautiful, it's gorgeous, and I want to go there. I want to go there.
Can I ruin your moment with a joke?
Absolutely, yes. Bring it.
You, you're
Oh
not even
no.
you're not even gonna have to like squat or bend down to get in those little hobbit houses because I know you want
I
to go see some
know.
Lord of the Rings stuff.
And you know me well enough because you know that that is one of my destinations. I want to see where the hobbits lived because I want to go in there. I will. Yes, yes. I am all over it, and I would be proud of the fact that I could be a hobbit and live in one of those places.
You're a beautiful hobbit. Okay, so New Zealand for sure. Any other places that you're like, man, that's it. I'm going there.
Um. Okay, so I think my list would be New Zealand. Um, and there's a condition for the second place. Our our friend Shira, who moved to Australia, I told her I would go to Australia as soon as she got rid of all of the huntsman spiders and like bird eating spiders and whatnot. I was like, I will be there day one. If you can get rid of all of them, I will be there.
So basically, when she gets rid of all the fun, that's when you're gonna go.
Absolutely, yes, yes, yes. The toilet spiders and everything. Yeah, get rid of all that. I'll be there.
We
Number
gotta.
three would be Ireland.
Oh, that'd be awesome. I can see you enjoying that. And we got to get Shira on here, by the way. I mean, her
Oh, absolutely, yes.
traveling abroad in Australia for what she's been there for like 10 years now. Yeah, we got to
She's
get
been
her
there
on here.
for more than a hot minute now. Yes.
Right. Well, I love that. I love your goals. I love what you're working towards. And overall, you can basically say to me, how do you feel how do you feel about travel as a whole in general?
I think travel is uh, absolutely something that everyone should experience. Um, I, I I am of the opinion that if it is at all possible, you should travel to a foreign country at least once, at least once. But just like you said before, it can. I got to experience a cave with a water like with a waterfall inside of it in Montana, and that was amazing. Like it was amazing. I didn't have to travel to a foreign country for that. I did have to, travel from some states, but you know, that there are so many experiences to be had. I am totally pro travel. I think if anyone has even a small inkling that they might, want to do this, I absolutely say figure out a way to do it because you will not regret it. As long as you do things safely and you do things the way that you want to do them. Don't let anybody pressure you into traveling any way that you don't want to travel. Don't go anywhere that you don't want to go. Make your plan and go.
I love it. That's like some solid advice. And I love that you were able to just sit here and kind of, let a little bit of your soul go. I mean, you were into it. And I love how you expressed everything that you were thinking. So thank you for doing that and for being amazing. For me, I think I want to give you just a little bit of fun here at the end because I've asked you a lot of serious, like, oh God, I got to really rack my brain type of questions. So you know me, I love would you rather, right? That's like my shit.
Yes,
That's my
absolutely.
jam. That's my shit. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? Like I love some would you rather. I love games in general. I blame my boyfriend for that. That was not something I was born with. So, but yeah, but I have a couple would you rather questions. So are you ready for them?
Okay. I'm absolutely ready.
Okay, here we go. The first one, number uno. Would you rather sit next to a baby or right next to the bathrooms on a 5-hour flight?
I would rather sit next to the bathrooms. No lie. No lie.
You would rather smell some caca than have a baby maybe cry next to you.
I would probably be smelling some caca on the baby too. Yes.
Okay.
And
You know what?
honestly, and just to stop you like real fast, I'm so sorry, but you know that I love babies. Like I love babies, but I don't love strangers' babies. I just don't. I don't. And yeah, I don't care if that makes me a bad person or not. I don't care about your baby. If I don't know you and I don't love you, I don't care about your children. I don't want them all over me. I don't want them hollering at me. I don't want to listen to them scream or cry. I just don't. And I'm so sorry if that makes me into a terrible person, but that's just the way it is. I'm so sorry.
Oh my God. So I'm going to agree with you. I am bathrooms. Okay. So we're on the same page there. I love you.
Okay.
So number 2, would you rather, goodness, I had to think a lot for this one. Would you rather be stuck in the middle seat on a 13-hour flight or have the aisle seat, but you're sitting next to somebody who wants to talk about their relationship problems?
Oh my God.
I was about to say, did I lose you? You're real quiet.
That is, you know, because there's too many conditionals that I could come up with, I'm just going to go straight for it and pick the middle seat.
No.
Absolutely.
No, I'm going to take the aisle.
Yeah.
I will pretend like I give a crap that you got divorced. I can't, because when I got to pee, I got to pee. I can't wake you up. That just stresses me out. So, okay. So we are in disagreement of number 2. Okay.
Yeah, you would really let some random ass, but well, I don't know why I'm surprised. Knowing you the way that I do, I shouldn't be surprised. Like literally, that's what you have done. You have done that for a living.
Somebody the other day was telling me the relationship issues and I didn't feel like listening to it. So I said, yeah, you should just leave him. He sounds abusive to me. And they were like, I hope that doesn't trigger anybody, but they like shut up immediately. I was like, oh, that worked. Okay, good.
Yeah.
Note to self when I'm stuck on a plane and somebody's telling me all the relationship. I don't know why people tell me everything. They can just see that I'm a bartender or was a bartender.
You just have that open, welcoming face.
Open, welcoming face.
When you're smiling, not when you have your mom face, but when you're smiling, that's for real.
My RBF.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so third question. We got 5 of them. Third question. If you were staying in a treehouse, just get creative with me, Scott. If you were staying in a treehouse and you had a bug net that you were going to sleep under, would you rather wake up, okay, the sun rises, you wake up, on the outside of this bug net, would you rather it be completely encased with cockroaches or spiders?
You don't even have to ask me that question, but for the sake of all of the people, if I woke up and my bug net was covered in spiders, that would be the last moment that I spent on this earth. Because I would just expire.
So I got to know, what would you do now that I'm thinking this out in my head? Because I didn't think about it earlier, but now that I'm remembering how much you hate spiders, what would you do if you woke up and your husband wasn't around? He left 3 hours earlier to go get coffee, and you woke up and there's spiders all on the outside of your bug net. How would you get out of it?
I would not. That is where I would live and die. There's just no way. I cannot even express to you how horrible of a scenario that is to me. I would I think I've told you this before. What's really funny is that Mark is the one, my husband Mark, he is the one he feels the same way about cockroaches that I do about spiders. So if there is ever one of those things that we like, switch off, taking care of each other to take care of the insect or the arachnid, because if you gave him the same question, he would absolutely take the spiders over the cockroaches. I can't that is if I dream about this, I'm gonna call you later. I'm calling you tomorrow if I have a nightmare about this.
I apologize for unleashing your greatest fear. Sorry, I just gave you another one. So, okay, number 4. Would you rather sit in first class next to a gum smacker? Like, let me elaborate here. The one that
Oh
like
no.
pops the little bubbles,
Uh-huh.
like pops bubbles over and over again and just smacking. They'll take it out, put it on the side of their little plate and eat their dinner. And then once they're done with their dinner, they'll take the gum, put it back in their mouth, and they keep smacking. Would you rather sit by them in first class or sit in coach?
Girl, you know me.
Bougie beaver.
My bougie ass would be in first class. At least there would be a little bit of space. If I'm gonna have to if I'm gonna have to be miserable listening to somebody smack, at least I can do it in comfort. I am that bougie dude. I'm so sorry.
Okay, I actually don't have an answer to this because I literally
Really?
get like, no, I'm serious. I get like nervous ticks when people start smacking around me. Like it literally drives me to the point where I want to be like, "You don't have any friends. Let me tell you why." Because I can't. I literally can't do it. If I had friends that smacked, I would lose friends because I can't take it. I literally can't take it. Just put me in not first class. Put me in coach. Put me in coach. I'll be in coach.
Yeah.
I would be happy. Just, I mean, maybe give me the emergency exit seat or something, but whatever. Nah, sit as far away from that gum smacker as you can. Okay, so last question. Last
Okay.
question. You are in Bolivia. Let's just say Bolivia. Let's just throw
Okay.
out a random country. Or imagine somebody that you've known's been to Bolivia. Would you rather have your passport stolen or every dime that you had? Like that, let's just say you brought, I don't know, $500 cash and then a couple credit cards. Would you rather have your passport stolen or all the monetary things that make up value in your wallet?
I would rather have the money gone.
Okay.
And the reason for that is, I mean, you have traveled much more than I have. But literally, if you're in a foreign country and you lose your passport, you are double F fucked in a way that not having money, that I will find a way to get more money. But losing my passport, I mean, no, absolutely
Right.
not.
Absolutely not. Well, to wrap it all up, I love your gorgeous, amazing face. I have to
We're trying to
remember,
find
like,
something good about me. Okay, thank you
no.
for.
People don't know that we've known each other for 15 years. People don't know that I have cried in a cooler and you have come to console me. People don't know that,
Yes.
You make fun of me. I make fun of you.
Yes.
That's just our relationship that we have. There's a lot of times in life that I wouldn't have got through so smoothly without the support of a good friend. And you have been that friend that is non-judgmental in every way. So I appreciate you for everything, and thank you for talking to me tonight.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. And I consider it myself very lucky to have you as my friend. And this was so much fun. Thank you.
Would we hug if we were in person? Would we give each other big
Yeah,
hugs?
absolutely. I might even Zerbert your neck.
Can I talk really close to your face?
Well, you're one of the few people that I allow into my personal space. So, yes, you can.
Well, you're one of the few people I want to get in their personal space because mostly I am the 2 steps back because guess what? I can hear you just as well 2 steps back. So if you ever see me take 2 steps back, I just hope you know it's not you, but it's like your proximity to me that I'm taking 2 steps back. So just for my hundred friends that are listening out there. So thank you so much, Scott. I love you. You're brilliant. And I will talk to you soon.
I love you. Thank you.
All right. Thanks a lot. Thanks for coming and listening to I Am Not Your Tour Guide. And break.
We remind you that this is a non-smoking flight. Smoking is prohibited on the entire aircraft, including the lavatories. Tampering with, disabling, or destroying the lavatory smoke detectors is prohibited by law. If you have any questions about our flight today, please don't hesitate to ask one of our flight attendants.